Welcome back, adventurers. Today we are talking about the best places to watch Artemis II launch from right here on the Space Coast. So quickly, let me clarify that when this video is going out, when this video is being recorded, there is no definitive date for the launch of Artemis II. There is supposed to be a wet rehearsal where they're actually going to fuel the rocket, make sure that it can function on its own without external power. Before there can be a launch date set. Those tests have to be run. If anything is problematic with that, it could get rolled back to the vehicle assembly building. We're not seeing that as a possibility at the moment, but it is something that has to be considered. Now, the crew of Artemis II is in quarantine, which means that they are preparing for launch. They're out in Houston, still practicing through simulators, still training for this mission, but they are getting closer to the launch date. Now, the first opening date is February 6th. Will Artemis launch on that day? I have to be honest, with the cooler weather we've been having here in Florida, it seems a little bit unlikely, but hey, who knows? We will see. But the first date is February 6th, followed with a February 7th date that it could potentially launch. So hopefully that is what happens. We will find out. And before we talk about where to watch the launch here in Florida, let's hear a little bit more about what Artemis II is going to do.
It's a new era of pioneers, star sailors, thinkers, and adventurers.
Go, prop, go, CD8, go, Fido, go. All right, so go for launch.
Our destiny is always to go and see what's further and what's next.
Artemis II is NASA's first crewed test flight in the Artemis campaign. 4 astronauts will fly aboard the Orion spacecraft and confirm the spacecraft's systems operate as designed in the deep space environment. The Artemis II mission profile follows the uncrewed Artemis I flight test by demonstrating a broad range of SLS and Orion capabilities for deep space. This mission will prove Orion's life support systems are ready to sustain crew on future missions and allow the crew to practice operations essential to the success of Artemis III and beyond. Your Artemis II astronauts are NASA's Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Cook, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. This initial launch will be similar to Artemis I as SLS lofts Orion into space. With crew aboard this mission, Orion and the upper stage will then orbit Earth twice to ensure Orion's systems are working as expected while still close to home. Orion will start an elliptical orbit that will be refined to a safe high Earth orbit. And after these tests, Orion will head to the moon, performing a translunar injection burn to begin its 4-day trip around the far side of the moon and more than 230,000 miles from Earth. During the rest of the mission, astronauts will continue testing Orion systems, conduct experiments, and observe the moon from closer than humans have in over 50 years as they travel thousands of miles beyond its far side. After looping around the moon, Orion will use a gravity-assisted path to return to Earth and splash down in the Pacific, with the mission helping prepare for future lunar and deep space exploration. Artemis II is very exciting, as it's reminiscent of Apollo 8, launching 3 men, Frank Borman, William Anders, and Jim Lovell, to the moon. This was the first time humans had circled the moon, had been in proximity to the moon, and that was so exciting. And it's awesome that we're finally going back to the moon with humans on board once again. It'd be really great if we were landing this time around, but that's a few more years into the future. But very exciting to see these 4 astronauts headed out to the moon. So let's talk about where to watch the launch. Now, I'm looking currently at the Kennedy Space Center website. This is the visitors complex where they will take you out to do a couple different spots and let you watch the launch. One is within 8 miles. The other is within 3.5 miles, like the closest you can get. Their package is called the Feel the Heat Launch Viewing Package, and it is sold out, as well as the visitors complex package. It is sold out. So you can't you can't get those. Those are some of the closest spots that you can get to watch the launch. Now, bear in mind that if this launch window gets pushed out, where they're not launching here in the first week of February, then these tickets may become available once again. So keep an eye on their website if the launch doesn't go at the time that they're currently saying, because it could change, and that might give you the opportunity. Now, a good website to look at to figure out where should I go, where is the best available spots to go and watch the launch. You're going to want to go to, it is called visitspacecoast.com. I'll have a link in the description so you can find this really easily, but it is a list of launch viewing venues. They have the hotels that have viewing availability from the hotel. Granted, all of those are gone, I believe, for this first launch attempt date that is out there. Every hotel in Titusville, Cape Canaveral, much of Melbourne is gone. There are none. So you would need to get a hotel on like East Orlando. Come over if you're wanting to. There are no hotels for this first launch attempt. Date February 6th, February 7th. There's none here. So just be aware of that if you're looking at travels plans. There are none. So it gives you a list. It tells you the NASA suggested viewing sites. It tells you where the actual rocket launch pads are at on the maps. You kind of get an idea of where those are. It tells you where you can dine with a view. Now, granted, these first couple launch attempts are at like 9 o'clock at night. So I'm assuming the restaurants might remain open, but I would check with them and see what they have available on that. And then they have just some other popular viewing sites, night viewing locations, things like that. So I'll have this map up on the screen so you can see it. We're going to take off the launch sites here for a second. And I believe, what is this purple? That's Playa Linda Beach. All right, so if we come back here, come right here, I believe this is the launch complex. Yes, it's on B, because 39A is SpaceX. So this is 39B. This is the launch complex we'll be looking at. This is where Artemis is launching from. Now, this Playa Linda Beach back here, one, because it's at night, it wouldn't have been open regardless, but they are actually closing this beach on Saturday, the 31st, and it will not reopen until Artemis launches. So whenever that launch date is, it remains closed until that point. So really, there's not really anything in this whole green section you're seeing. There are no places to watch the launch. So you're going to want to come back towards the mainland, towards Titusville, Port St. John area. Real quick, we'll talk about Cape Canaveral here first. If you come to the Cape Canaveral area, there's a few spots. We'll take out the restaurants here. So there's a couple parks. Let me zoom in on them. There's the Manatee Sanctuary Park. There is Cherry Down Park, and a few others. Jetty Park Beach, where if you have a camper, you can usually park there and be able to watch the launch. Anywhere possibly in the terminal area, but I don't know what they're going to allow on that because, again, it is at night. And so I don't know if any of these parks will technically be open, if they're going to allow you to be out there. Don't know what the rules are on that, so just be prepared for that. So most likely your best opportunity to see this launch is going to be in Titusville. Titusville down through Port St. John area is going to kind of be your best bet. There is a bridge called the Max Brewer Bridge. If you're in that downtown Titusville area, the Max Brewer Bridge, they will sometimes close off. I'm anticipating for this launch they will. They will close off the bridge to vehicle traffic and allow you to stand on the bridge to see the launch. This is a great spot to be able to do that. Just park in places that are designated for parking. Don't park in people's driveways. Don't do crazy stuff like that. Make sure you're parking in an appropriate place. With that being said, you're going to need to come early, but we'll get to that in just a second. So there is Sandpoint Park. There's a park called the William J. Manzo Memorial Park, Kennedy Point Park, Rotary Riverfront Park, and there's a couple others here in the Titusville area. Trying to see. I guess those are kind of it in Titusville, the technical actual spots that you can. There's a couple little pull-off parks. Kirk's Point, Riverside Park, that one will be open. the Rotary River Park, that will be open. So those spots are good to try to get to. If you are coming an hour before the launch happens, you will have nowhere to park. So you will need to find parking farther back and plan to walk up towards the river. Parking will be gone. So just be prepared for that. And people will be charging for parking most likely. Along US 1 in Titusville, it's kind of going to be one of your best bets for seeing the launch. You're going to be able to see out. You can see as the rocket lights up. You're going to see that flame at the bottom as it lifts off. As long as it's not cloudy, it will be a fantastic place to watch the launch. So that is kind of our recommendation, is to head to Titusville and watch the launch from there. This is going to be a fantastic launch to be able to see, especially if it does end up with this first launch window launching at night. It's going to be super cool getting to see it. Hoping it's not cloudy, so it's not obstructed from view, but it'll still be awesome to hear it, hear the rumble of Artemis. It will be fantastic. So if you have any questions about how to come see Artemis, let me know in the comment section. I'll try to answer them if I am able. But hope you guys have a great one. Go Artemis. I'll see you next time.